Hello and welcome to the Home Building and Renovating Spring Show, April 2021. My name's Dennis Weeks and I'm from North London Loft Rooms, and I'm here to talk to you today about loft conversions on behalf of the Federation of Master Builders, who have invited me to go through this presentation with you. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. So what kind of loft conversion is right for me? Obviously every house is different and everyone's needs are different. So we're just going to talk about some of the conversions that are possible on different properties, and hopefully we'll find one that's right for you. So a little bit about me first. As I said, my name's Dennis Weeks. I'm the Managing Director of North London Loft Rooms Limited, which is a family business. It's with over 30 years of building experience, and it's run by myself and my brother Paul. We started in 2014 as I was retiring from the police service. I haven't always been in the building sector, but I've always had an interest in the building sector and come from a family of many people in the building sector. So it's run through our veins for many years, but I went off and took a different route from a very young age in the policing, and served across London in many different roles as a police officer. But in 2014, I came to speak to my brother about doing a business that's together, so something for my retiring years. We went into the business together, created the company, and have been successfully building that ever since. We specialise in loft conversions, extensions, renovations in the north and northeast of London, focusing on high standards of workmanship and customer care. So a lot of things, the skills which I brought from the police that we joined together to create our company. And we joined the Federation of Master Builders quite quickly after that in 2015. So here is just a taster of some of the things coming up. This is a L-shaped, as I like to call it, loft conversion. So this is a house you typically see in London that has a main building and an extension to the building, or some call it an outrigger of the building, which is not quite the full width. So often you end up with a small alleyway section at the back of the house, and the building protrudes out into the rear garden, creating this L shape, as we like to call it. Here we can see the stairs, and we've shown two pictures in the two corners, the left and the top right, which show the stairs going up and the bedroom door which leads to the outrigger, the back section of the bedroom. And that back section of the bedroom is down there on the bottom right hand corner. And then the stairs at the top, as you get to that door, you turn and you can see that the stairs go along, and the immediate door on your right is the bathroom, which is in the middle. And the other door is the bedroom, which is top left. As you can see, some nice space created, and all matched in with the existing building, which is circa 1910 type of building. So we try to match in all the stairs. And this is really what you're looking for, is something that's going to complement your home. So let's have a look at some others. But first, about the Federation of Master Builders. So the Federation of Master Builders has been created now for 80 years, established in 1941. So it's celebrating its 80th anniversary this year. So congratulations to them. It connects homeowners with quality professional builders across the UK. Obviously, if you are a quality and professional builder, the one thing that you hate as much as anyone else are those builders that are not, or just pretend to be. So this organisation is there to make sure that people who are professional and are doing the job properly are vetted and independently inspected on joining, and they meet high standards, and they have a code of conduct which all the members sign up to and should adhere to, and make sure that it runs through their company as the standard that they consistently maintain. It's the UK's largest trade association in the construction industry, representing small to medium-sized construction companies, and doing very well. So, is your loft suitable for a conversion? Is there enough room for a comfortable head height? So this is often one of the first questions we get asked when people contact us about a possible conversion to their property. You're really looking for something which is over 2 meters if you measure it from the ceiling joists to the center of the roof space. So there will be a board which runs along the center of the building, which is called the ridge board. And if you're measuring that, you need 2.4 meters as a minimum height. Anything above that, then you'll probably be fine. Usually not a problem. Anything below that, there are other solutions, but they are more expensive and create more mess, more work involved in lowering ceilings and things like this. Do you know the pitch of your roof? So effectively, if your roof is pitched quite low, then the angle is going to be particularly low, which makes usually the height an issue, and also makes the conversion an issue because the amount of space that you have in a low pitch decreases quite quickly. Whereas if you have a high pitched roof, obviously you can utilize more of the space because it's going to be higher, and therefore creating a larger room when effectively the back side of the roof is straightened out. Maybe you can see that. So a higher pitch is usually something which is better. But again, there are always solutions. You can check the pitch of your roof actually with a device on your phone. You can download a pitch finder to your mobile phone, and when it's downloaded, you can use it and it will show you what the pitch is. So they're easily and free on the app stores. What kind of roof structure do I have? So effectively, is it an up and over, a hip to gable? These are things that we'll come into a little bit more discussion about in a second. Other things you need to think about are chimney stacks, water tanks, what part of your roof, where these are going to be taken out or removed or relocated, can all be an issue for you. And plumbing and plumbing is something that actually comes up quite a lot with people's homes, building an extra floor on their home. So that is definitely something to be considered. And obviously the headspace for a staircase. So the position of the staircase going into the conversion is one of the key features that needs to be arranged in order to specify what the room's going to be. So often some people will look at the conversion, look at the space they have in their loft and think, oh, this is a lovely big space, great, it'll be a super big room, I can have all sorts of things in the space. And other times, but what they don't necessarily consider is the staircase, the hallway, the landing size, which all come into building regulations, all have to be certain dimensions and catered for. And on a staircase, obviously there's the head height between the stairs below, as well as the stairs coming up into the loft room. So again, lots of things to consider, and once those things are sorted, then that allows you to see the remaining space and how it can best be used. Let's have a look next. So there are 5 main types of loft conversions. The dormer loft conversion is probably the most common. Here's a picture of a dormer loft conversion that we did a little while ago. As you can see, it's these clients required quite a lot of light, and effectively the almost all of the back of the dormer, as you can see, is patio glass windows with a glass balcony. That's because this room is being used as an art studio, so light was an important element for them. There's the Mansard loft conversion, and we're going to go through these individually in a second. There's the hip to gable loft conversion, there's the roof light loft conversion, and a more modern modular loft conversion. So let's have a look at these in some small amount of detail, and perhaps you'll recognise something that's suitable for your home. Excellent. The dormer loft conversion. So it's, as you can see, this is a picture of the external rear of a property that we did. Has a dormer loft conversion with a large window into the room, and we can see in the larger picture the inside of the room finished. So as you can see, looking at this house, is a typical 1930s house. It's a terraced property with what we call an up and over roof, which means that it goes straight up at the front and straight down at the back as a normal roof section. And effectively what we do is we cut out the rear section of the roof and we create a box dormer on the rear, which creates most of the room. So you can see in the main picture the points where the two roof sections meet, just above the Velux window, and you can see the line which goes across. So that's where the steel comes through to support the ridge for the box dormer section. Now these can span the entire width of the roof from party wall to party wall, which is something you share with your neighbours. But again, that's something that you need to be mindful of, and mindful of how you're going to discuss that with your neighbours. It's something that often gets overlooked. It creates the space. Obviously, the whole of the box creates the space of a square standard room from the centre of your home to the rear section of the wall. Most of these are required to be 200 millimeters from the rear face of the wall, as per the guidance. And so the gable dormer is effectively the pitch from the centre to the back. So move on now to the next one. So Mansard loft conversion. This is for effectively, this is not usually permitted, but is available. Is something you'd need to get planning permission for. It's similar to adding a whole new story onto a house. Usually you see these in larger stories, 3-4 story properties, or flats even. So blocks of flats. It's quite common now for these to be developed into a whole new story of the building, and it would be a Mansard conversion that's created. The structure is usually all in a steel because of the way it needs to be supported on the front, and obviously the large flat section of roof which spans the majority of the building. And you often see these set back maybe half a metre or so from the edge of the front of the property, and often going into the same shape at the rear of the property, but they can also be into a dormer, standard dormer shape at the rear. So these obviously create much more space because they give you more space in the front section of the roof as well as the rear section of the roof. But you will need to speak to the local authority because, as I said, they usually always require planning. So hip to gable. So this is a picture of the bottom right is a roof section which hasn't been completed yet. So this is one that we're looking to start soon. And as you can see by the chimney, you can see the point where the roof comes up at a diagonal from the corner of the back of the building up to a point, and then there's a small section of level roof which goes into the chimney. Now, I describe this as it's called a hip to gable because it's like the hip joint. It has the hip, and it has two legs which go down to the front corner and the rear corner of the building. And what we do with a hip to gable is we remove this hip joint from where it's positioned back, and we move it over and straighten it onto the gable wall. So the gable wall is the side wall, and it straightens the roof section up. So that effectively at the front of the property you end up with an up and over roof. And at the back of the property, we put the dormer in the space. Now, hip to gables can be a great way of creating the space that you need. But remember, if your conversion is under permitted development, all permitted development has volume restrictions. So depending on the type of house you have, limits the amount of volume that you're allowed to add under permitted development rules, which means you can develop a loft conversion without planning permission, as long as you stay within those volume rules. With a hip to gable conversion, you use up more volume just by moving the hip to the gable before you've added the loft dormer at the back. So this is something you need to discuss with your builder, architect, to make sure that that your volumes are correct, and you can apply to the council once you've done the calculations and designs, to get a certificate of lawfulness, which is the council checking that you're within your rights. It creates a great space internally, full headroom, so and obviously all the windows. And this is a picture of one that we've done, and as you can see, we built up the gable wall in a matching brick, and effectively placed a little circular window, and that's where the staircase is. So it's a nice sort of touch for that design. Roof light conversions. So this is effectively what they sometimes call a Velux conversion, but Velux is just a make of a window. There's lots of other makes that design these types of windows. Effectively, this is leaving the space as it is, not adding any box to it, but it's because the space is large enough in order to have the head height necessary in at least the centre of the room. So this is one we did for a rock star who I can't name, but they were very pleased with the end result, and it's where hopefully he's going to make some famous music, you know, practicing in his studio. So as with standard all conversions of loft space, the floor needs to be reinforced. The existing space, as I said, remains as it is. Electrics, plumbing, insulation, all required the same as any other conversion. Obviously we usually put more roof windows in to make sure there's plenty of light. It is fairly minimal disruption to the property. It's maybe not quite as much as a standard loft conversion with a dormer, but not completely without this, you know, similar sort of time frames and such forth. So, but it is a good option if you can't, in conservation areas, particularly areas where you're restricted in what you can do, perhaps by conservation orders or planning permission, and not all properties have permitted development rights. So you do need to find out if you do have permitted development rights, and if you don't, it may well be that you can only use planning permission, and the council may not allow a full loft conversion. So this may be another option for you. Right, and last of all, modular loft conversions. Now these are something which is developed over recent years, and this is effectively creating your loft space away from your home, coming in, measuring, and making sure of how the loft space is going to be created. And then these types of company, this is a Moduloft, they create this in a factory with all their wiring, electrics and plumbing all in place in that module. They then remove the roof and turn up with the module and effectively crane it into position. So this cuts down on a lot of the work that's going to go on in the home, obviously by a significant time, but it's not for every property. And because of obviously there's a lot of craneage and different restrictions. So in some parts of the country it's more difficult than others, but it may be an option for you in getting your conversion done if you want the minimal amount of disruption to your home. Other considerations: adding the bathroom. Obviously, lots of people want en suites and bathrooms, but they do have other aspects of drawing on the system of the whole house. So you may need to think about your plumbing generally, your water mains, your boilers and things like this. And often most companies will be able to talk that through with you. Planning permission, as I mentioned, most loft conversions don't require it because of permitted development, but you do need to check, and you do need to make sure that you are following the rules of the local authority. And these rules are different in every local authority. They all have similarities, but they can be different, and they change as councils change. So they're always continually updated. So please make sure that the person that you're dealing with regard to your plans is au fait with local rules. Building regulations is important. All loft conversions always need building regulation approval. You hear horror stories of people saying the builder said that he doesn't need this or he doesn't need that. You need proper plans. If you're going to ensure that what you want is what you're going to get, then it needs to be planned and it needs to be agreed, and it needs to adhere to lots of codes of regulations which ensure that what you get is what you want and it's done properly. When you come to sell the house, it can be a real bone of contention if something's been done and it's not been done properly because it hasn't been signed off. A professional builder will make sure that you have all the documentation, everything signed off, your electrics, your plumbing, your insulation, the structure, the steels, all these things are important. So make sure that you get plans with building regulations signed off. And the building control officer actually sees the plans and signs the plans off before you even start. So make sure that's done. Timescale. Your builder should be able to provide you with a plan to show the timescale. We have project management software which we use with our customers, which gives them full access to everything that we do, and including Gantt charts of the timescale for their plans, showing different parts of the project happening at appropriate times. They should include, an assessment for your roof, the drawings. All these things should be available. As I say, ours are available in our project management software, which people access on their phone. So, and lots of builders have similar things for their clients and customers. Be honest and upfront about your budget. It's difficult. I know people want to make sure that they're getting value for money, that they're getting things done properly, but the relationship between you and your builder needs to be based on trust. You need to find someone that you feel comfortable with and that you trust and that you've vetted and that you're happy that this person is working with you to achieve the same thing. Then you can speak to them about your budget, speak to them about what you want, because you need this to create a detailed plan of what is realistically within your budget. There will be some things that possibly won't be in your budget, and it's better to make those decisions at an early stage rather than at a later stage and make sacrifices of other things you don't want to sacrifice because you've already spent money on things that you could have sacrificed. Don't forget that all the things about VAT, builder regulations, plan and permissions. Any good company that does loft conversions like ours do things all from initial ideas to completion. So all these things with many companies, they'll be able to show you and work with you and make sure you've got in place. And that's it, I think. If you are interested, I'll find a builder online at the FMB, which has a system of finding any registered professional builder and can give you some options in your area. So it's well worth checking out to help you find a reputable builder. And that's our website if you have any other questions. One thing I will say is when you're planning your loft conversion, think about time. Don't be in a rush, be patient, have preparation and do your research. Time is an important element to make sure that you have lots of it. If you are going into a conversion and you're trying to rush it, you will likely make more mistakes. Whereas if you have the time to find the right builder, to do your research, to speak to their previous clients, to look at their testimonials, to check the FMB that they are properly registered and their insurances are in place, then you're more likely to find to have a successful conversion. rather than be one of the horror stories that we've all heard about and try to avoid. So have some time, have some patience with what you're going to achieve. A great conversion, it won't be done in 4 to 6 weeks. In my experience, it's better to have the right people doing the right jobs at the right time, and giving them time to do that. So work with your builder, do your research, and find the right company that fits you and your budget. And I'm sure you'll have many years of enjoying a great conversion. Good luck. Thanks very much.